goes back to the original question of why are we still in such deep shit? It's because men have the power and they have the money, and until we have the money to reframe exactly the representation, we're always going to have trouble with it. When I started to make films, I thought, okay, I need to make a different kind of film. And at that point, my parents said, do you want to go to film school? And I said, no, I don't want to go to film school. I've had enough of school. And in fact, school ruined painting for me because I knew too much about painting to paint, because every time I tried to paint, there was like a little voice behind me saying, oh, so-and-so has already done that. So the way I approached making films was not really knowing anything about making films. I like to say there's a difference between inductive and deductive filmmaking. Deductive would be if you have a script and you're deducing your film from the script because you already know what you have. With Born in Flames, it kind of grew from a seed. You know, I created some circumstances. You know, that there is a social democratic cultural revolution because I wanted to create some parameters, because I thought, okay, in any kind of left-leaning situation, there would still be a quote-unquote woman problem, and the woman problem still wouldn't be solved. And that was the science fiction element, or so-called science fiction element. But then I also thought, oh, who are the bravest, most edgy women who would be pushing at the boundaries? And I thought, black women and black lesbians. And I thought, well, I don't know any. So I went to bars and I asked women, well, will you be in the film? I had women I knew at the time, like Catherine Bigelow and Becky Johnston, to be the socialist news editors, because they would speak the kind of language that they spoke. Then every group, I thought, well, this is interesting to me, because like Ms. Magazine, who would be the status quo, would have their own language about what revolution was. And at that point, I started seeing a lot of movies. And it was actually Jean-Luc Godard who really inspired me in terms of making films, because I saw how film could both be story and essay. And I'd been writing essays, and I thought, okay, well, that's really interesting. You could make films that were about something, but also be telling a story too.
This is Isabel from Radio Ragazza, bringing you a little tune that you'll be hearing an awful lot of these days from the makers of our revolution. You might not be hearing it here, but you'll be hearing it everywhere else you go.
I was asking questions with the film more than I was trying to create solutions, but with a different kinds of means. Some were documentary means, but others were fiction means, so that some people actually think this was a documentary, but it wasn't. I didn't know. I could never have written a script for that film before it existed, because it didn't exist before it existed.
Good evening, this is Honey, coming directly to you from Phoenix Radio, a free radio station, a station not only for the liberation of women, but for the liberation of all, through the freedom of life which is found in music.
My interest is women who are on the edge, who are marginalized, who are not part of the mainstream. When I did Working Girls, the opening sequence of it was true. There were two women in bed, and that was actually me and Honey. That was representative of me and Honey, because that was actually my story. And Working Girls is actually me. It was actually based on truth. It was what I did to finance Born in Flames. So that's actually very accurate. Working Girls was a more traditional script, but I didn't know it had a traditional act structure. It did, just by intuition. It took place all in the course of one day, because I wanted something that I could shoot in my loft. I built a set, and it had moving walls, but it did have, when I went back to look at it, it really had a very traditional 3-act structure, which I didn't know what it was. I never had read a screenwriting book.
Don't take any money until they're completely comfortable. Okay, completely comfortable.
Okay, well, she's very attractive. She's about 5'5", strawberry blonde, big green eyes, fair complexion. Yes, she is chesty.
When you get into movie jail, like I did, so long ago, it's really, really, really difficult to get financing. So I may have to go back to the way I made Born in Flames. I may have to go back to no money, no, just agitprop kind of filmmaking in order to make that kind of content, because nobody's touching that kind of content. Nobody's doing it, and so, and ultimately it'll be like the Susan Sontag aesthetics of silence.
We must fight back when and ever we are unjustly attacked. Freedom, you talk about freedom, it's yours, it's right here, and it's your right. They may label you, try to classify you, and even call you a crazy bitch, but don't flinch, just let them. See, continue, just as Adelaide Norris, exercise your rights, and your freedom is yours. It's right here,